Hi everyone! I'm going to be doing a top 15 list of my favorite albums from last year, so stay tuned to see what was some of my favorite music from last year. At number 15 we have a beautiful post-disco anthem from Jessie Ware called What's Your Pleasure. This album is in a lot of people's number one spot for the year, and I do appreciate. Obviously, it's on my list. I do love this album. However, there just is a lot of other albums that I liked more and that I vibe with more, and are just more my style, I guess. But look at me go. Clearly, I can appreciate some post-disco when needed. There's about 5 songs I really vibe with on this album. There's Spotlight, Adore You, In Your Eyes, The Kill, and Remember Where You Are. Especially The Kill and Remember Where You Are. I think that the ending to this album is absolutely to die for. One of my favorite endings to an album of 2020. It really makes me appreciate post-disco a lot more as well, which is a genre I don't usually listen to, not gonna lie. Like, I listen to Jamiroquai and the Bee Gees and that's pretty much it. So, you know, thank you Jessie Ware, thank you very much. There is beautiful songwriting, beautiful strings, beautiful instrumentation in general, vocals, backup vocals, everything you can name that's part of music on this album is quite beautiful. And the production especially just feels so lavish, it feels so finished, if that makes sense. Okay, fair warning, there is quite a lot of crazy dancing in this video, and we're starting off strong at number 14 with Kick 1 by Arca, an electronic, IDM, experimental pop record. There is the question out there of, does anyone actually enjoy listening to this type of music? And yes, I promise we do. I'm here, I've arrived. Especially this track called KLK, which makes me just go off. There are a lot of other tracks on this album though that I just think are really beautiful to listen to. Lots of synths, lots of electronic melodies and chords that just tug at my heartstrings. My favorite tracks are Calor, Afterwards, Watch, KLK and Machote. At number 13 we have a folk album called Song for Our Daughter by Laura Marling. What became of Alexandra? Laura Marling is absolutely killing it on this album. There's so many good, catchy tracks that I can't get out of my head. I just can't. Alexandra, the bridge of that song, it's been stuck in my head for 6 months. Someone help me! Oh god, now I'm definitely going to be humming it to myself for the rest of editing this video. Song for Our Daughter on this album as well, just so authentic, so emotional, just so relatable as well. And then to top it all off, the strings at the end of that song are meant to represent that daughter rising above everything. Already a strings fan, add some emotion to the strings, like some meaning to it, and I'm there. Favorite tracks are Alexandra, Held Down, Only the Strong, Song for Our Daughter, and Hope We Meet Again. It's the token album where I just lie in my bed and cry for a little bit. This is Microphones in 2020 by the band Microphones. It's their first release in 17 years. Yes, their last album was in 2003, so I was pretty excited about this one. This album is a concept album. It's just like one 44-minute song. This band is essentially a one-man act, and his name is Phil Everham, and this album is just describing his life and career through very specific, relatable, funny lyrics. It's definitely a little bit of a different experience when it comes to this album. At number 11 we have Idols with Ultra Mono, a post-punk rock album. Well, this album is a lot of fun. It's got a lot of politically charged, intense tracks. This album does not know subtlety. Everything that is said, everything that's done in this album is a punch to the face. My favorite tracks are Grounds, Anxiety, Kill Them With Kindness, Model Village, Carcinogenic, and A Hymn. Next is Unlocked at number 10. This album is a hip-hop album by Denzel Curry and Kenny Beats. Beats is obviously on the beats, and Curry is rapping out his heart on this. I already am a fan of Kenny Beats. I love his album that he did with Rico Nasty a few years ago, and I feel like Denzel Curry brought even more to the plate with this one. Yeah, I think this is safe to say that this is my favorite Kenny Beats project yet. I'm not a Denzel Curry fan in the sense of that I don't really ever listen to him. So this album really surprised me with how much I loved his raps, and it definitely makes me want to go check out his other stuff. My favorite tracks on the album are track 01, Take It Back V2, Diet, and So Incredible PKG. At number 9 we have the R&B soul album Rose in the Dark by Cleo Sol. This is her debut album and it is so stunning. Cleo is only 20 years old. It's insane to think that she's 4 years younger than me and producing this type of stuff. It's really quite beautiful, quite soothing to the soul. Definitely recommend checking it out. My favorite tracks would be One Love, Why Don't You, Young Love, Butterfly, I Love You, and Her Light. Number 8 is American Head by the legendary Flaming Lips. This album would be experimental rock and is actually their 16th studio album. It's a lot to keep up with, I'm not gonna lie, and I definitely have fallen off the bandwagon since the 2000s and don't keep up with them as much, but then I heard good things about this album, so I want to check it out. Okay, real talk, I like a lot of songs off this album, but they all have really long names, so just look at the screen if you want to know which song's my fave. Next, at number 7, is an album that I think is already iconic. It is Fetch the Bolt Cutters by Fiona Apple, and it brings out the best in me. Kick me under the table, one of my favorite current singer-songwriters for sure. I think that what she comes up with is just so entertaining, so engaging, and so fun. Because I was loving you so much. Favorite tracks are Under the Table, Relay, Rack of His, Newspaper, Heavy Balloon, For Her, and Drum Set. It's here. It's happening. Number 6 we have The Slow Rush by Kevin Parker's Tame Impala. This is an Australian act and is a psych pop record. I still remember the first time I heard Posthumous Forgiveness. It affected me so much. This song is probably one of my favorite songs to come from a 2020 album. But yeah, these lyrics in the last third of the song that are about his father that's passed away and him dealing with the grief and trying to forgive his father after his father is already gone is just so touching. My favorite tracks are One More Year, Borderline, Posthumous Forgiveness, Breathe Deeper, On Track, It Might Be Time, and One More Hour. And we've hit the top 5. Number 5 is King's Disease by Nas, a hip-hop album that came out in 2020. Yes, we still have Nas in 2020, and I am not complaining. The first half of this album is pretty decent. I like about 3 songs, and then from tracks 8 through to 13, the whole entire second half of the album, I love every single track. What is this? I don't think I've loved a Nas album as much as this as I have since Illmatic. Number 4 is Alfredo by my man Freddie Gibbs and The Alchemist. It's no surprise I'm a huge Pinata fan, so of course I'm gonna at least love Alfredo this much. I don't love it as much as I love Pinata, but still, it lands at the number 4 spot here. And still has great production from The Alchemist, and of course, amazing rapping from Freddie Gibbs. Favorite tracks are 1985, God is Perfect, Scotty Beam, Frank Lucas, Something to Rap About, Babies and Fools, and All Glass. RTJ4 at the number 3 spot. This hip-hop duo is made up of Killer Mike, who is an MC, and LP, who produces and MCs. This is a killer album. My favorite tracks are Yankee and the Brave, Ooh La La, Out of Sight, Goodies vs. the E.T., Walking in the Snow, Never Look Back, The Ground Below, and A Few Words for the Firing Squad. And here we are at number 2. It's The New Abnormal by The Strokes. The Strokes are my boyfriend's favorite band of all time, so I did listen to this album earlier in the year when he showed me it, but I didn't really properly appreciate it at the time. The only song that I really picked up on was Ode to the Mets, which is the last song on the album. I kept listening to that for the rest of the year, but I never really went back to the album until December. And this was because my boyfriend was still listening to it in December, and I was like, maybe this album's like worth another listen. So I chucked it on again to listen to myself, and oh my god, I lost my mind. And December quickly became a month characterized by this album. Ode to the Mets is not only my favorite song of 2020, but is also the reason that I am now in love with Julian Casablancas. My favorite tracks are The Adults Are Talking, Selfless, Brooklyn Bridge to Chorus, and of course, Ode to the Mets. And now we come to number 1. It's time for some electro pop! My favorite album in 2020 was Charlie XCX's How I'm Feeling Now. This album, man! This album! If you like anything to do with the genre of this album, electro pop, industrial pop, experimental pop, EDM, IDM, please, 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 listen to it! This song, Forever, by her on this album is to die for. But the most crazy thing about this album is that you can nearly put any song on and it will be my favorite song ever. I literally love 8 out of the 11 songs on this album. That's insane. I'm so bored. That's my exercise for the day, I guess. Well, that's it. Those are my favorite albums of 2020. Let me know down below, what was your favorite album of 2020? I probably have maybe listened to it. I did listen to quite a few albums to make this list, but still didn't listen to every album that came out in 2020. So try and see if you can recommend me an album that I haven't listened to yet, because you can only listen to so much. Please remember to like the video and subscribe if you haven't already done so, and I will see you next week with more videos. Bye!